Am I the butthole for yelling at my husband after he told me to sleep on the bed he ruined? My husband male, 32, and I female, 26, both work. We used to work together on chores and cooking. But recently he has been doing pretty much nothing. Note, I'm pregnant and I feel sick all the time. Despite that, I do all I can. He lost his pet, bird, 2 months ago, and that's when he stopped doing anything in the apartment. I understand he's grieving, but I started thinking he's using the line on grieving to skip chores. He works 3 days a week. I work long hours, nurse, and every time I come home to take care of everything. I kept my mouth shut thinking he's depressed and in grief, but he goes out with friends. Laughs on SM. Plays board games, watches Netflix nightly, and is relaxed to the fullest. Last night I came home at 9 p.m. He already had dinner and left dishes in the sink. I cleaned up, ate dinner and went to bed. He was already asleep when I walked in. The conflict started when I saw that my side of bed was wet. I woke him up to ask him about the huge stain on my side of bed. He told me he spilled milk while he was watching YouTube on my side of bed and forgot to clean it up. I was stunned. I yelled at him and asked him if he was serious when he said he'd clean it up tomorrow and told me to sleep on it. I started calling him inconsiderate and quite frankly a user, since he keeps arguing that I'm cruel for not leaving him alone to grieve his beloved. I told him he didn't care that much about his pet since he's having fun and playing games. He looked at me shocked. Asked if I was done with my lecture, then he couldn't believe I questioned his love for his pet. Then went outside. We pretty much haven't talked since then. I slept on the mattress on the floor since the bed socked the milk stain. He took the sheets to clean them up and I felt guilty for what I said to him. He seems hurt and acts as if he is shocked by what I said. Am I the butthole here? Not the butthole. Run. I feel like he's just using it as an excuse to not do stuff. I lost my pet bird a few weeks ago and was back to functioning the next day. I might just be insensitive though, so I don't want to gatekeep grieving. People grieve different. Last year my beloved cat passed away. He had been sick for a while and in the end, he had to be put down. Instead of going home immediately, I stayed with my dad for a few days and occupied myself. Once I did come home, I broke down in tears. I was devastated. He was my first cat and had been so loving. While he was from a shelter and was older, I knew we wouldn't get 20 years, but I had hoped for at least 10. Instead, I got 2. It was hard and I still miss him immensely. Even though I got 2 new cats to love and care for. But they will never replace my first cat. I love them for who they are and would be equally devastated to lose them. Just because I grieved didn't mean I didn't do other things. Quite opposite, I tried to distract myself from my own grief while neglecting my home. Because it was easier than having to think. Even with severe PPD/psychosis, I still cleaned after having a baby and C-section to heal from. Even when I had miscarriages, I would take care of what's needed. Not as quickly, but used my best judgment of what's important. This guy is a leech. Again, not everyone deals with things the same way. I am struggling with poor mental health, and as a result, even small things can throw me. Losing a beloved pet? Definitely a hard blow that affected me a lot. I live alone and is child-free, so it is not like someone else suffered. Grief affects everyone differently, but when you have another person in your life, you don't get to stop. You don't have an SO or a dependent, so you could let things slide and it only affected you. That is okay, and you should take whatever time you need. Original Poster's husband has progressed from not pulling his weight, acceptable short-term because Original Poster is an adult who can pick up some of the slack, to actively inconveniencing Original Poster. It's time for a wake-up call, because he can't do stuff like this once the baby arrives. If he can't get himself together enough to at least clean up after himself, he's not ready to be a parent and should move back in with his parents. You don't get unplanned or long-term mental health days when you have kids, and if Original Poster's husband can't deal with that, he should have been child-free. I mean, he wanted her to sleep in milk-soaked sheets that he had caused. That's a little past the realm of dealing with great. I wouldn't have done that to someone when my mother died. Even worse. If he cleaned up those sheets immediately, damage to the mattress would be minimal. But he left the milk to soak in. Mattresses can't be washed easily, and old milk smell is distinct and hard to wash out. chances are that the whole mattress is ruined. Oh, guaranteed that mattress is ruined. You're 100% right about old milk smell. Even if he'd cleaned it up right away, it would probably start to smell really bad in no time. And she is pregnant. Smells are very strong then. Oh God, if they have a dog it might get chewed on. It would in my house, once the milk starts to stink. That mattress is gone. The only way to not have the nasty smell would be to cover it in plastic and then a cloth mattress protector. That will seriously cause a pregnant woman stress from overheating/noise etc. That move alone made him the butthole. Like, I get the dude is depressed, but it's one thing when you ignore it cause you don't have the motivation, but when you live with someone else and accidentally ruin their thing it's your responsibility to fix it. Any money he wouldn't let his pet bird sleep in milk-soaked sheets. Interesting he's only grieving when it's a chore, but fine to play games, watch TV, laugh with friends, etc. and to leave a wet bed sheet when he knows his wife, who works all day, is coming home and needs to sleep, not to mention leaving a mess in the kitchen, is really beyond the pale. Definitely, he's TA and you're very much not the butthole. Looking back, I wonder if this tendency has always been there and original poster has just overlooked it? And she's pregnant. This dude is a dick. To be fair, fun things require a lot less energy than not fun things. I've seen it compared to cantrips versus spells, where fun things are cantrips that can be cast without restriction, while not fun things are spells that require a lot of energy or have a limited number of uses per day. In that respect, it makes sense for him then be able to go out and play games while he is grieving or having a mental health crisis. However, this is not an excuse to expect his pregnant wife to sleep on wet sheets. To continue the metaphor, he needs to muster up a spell slot to at least make sure no one else has to deal with the fallout of his inability to function. For example, I would be a lot more sympathetic if he had at least offered to sleep in the wet spot. Hard agree. Even different types of not fun things take different amounts of energy. I knew someone who worked in one industry and was regularly exhausted. As soon as she changed industry, she suddenly had all this energy to do stuff on her days off. It's amazing the difference it can make. With that said, it's also not an excuse. I'm exhausted on my days off. I still make an effort for my loved ones. I could even get the I'm a depressed mess who's having a hard time functioning thing. But not telling her what happened with the milk? Until she's discovered it on her own? And then not profusely apologizing or asking for her help in cleaning it up, I'm assuming like, comatose levels of depression and relying on this person to help you, but just telling her she'll be fine to sleep in it? Nope, thumbs down. Your feelings don't mean you get to be a dick. This man has a pregnant nurse wife and is being a dick to her. He's allowed to be sad without completely disrespecting his wife. I'm very sorry for your loss, but the guy cannot deal with his grief by dumping all the adulting on the very pregnant original poster. It just isn't okay. She is about to have an actual infant, she won't have the time, strength, or emotional heath available to coddle a grown man who is acting like one. Original poster needs a lawyer to get her ducks in a row, and he has 2.5 months to prove that he has had enough therapy not to ignore the baby if he's gaming or refuse to change a diaper because he's watching YouTube. Edit typo. Yeah, but he's clearly using it as an excuse to do nothing. Yeah, exactly. I will probably always be sad over a beloved cat I lost a few years ago. But no way in hell would I leave my partner with all the work to do around the house, and I sure as crap would not spill milk all over their side of the bed and then just not clean it up. He's just being a lazy butt because he knows he can get away with it. I had a previous husband who used his depression as an excuse to literally never do anything. Not a damn thing. I left him. Magically, once he no longer had a live-in housekeeper doing everything for him, he snapped out of his funk and started behaving more or less like an adult man again. Some people are just users and they do not deserve to have partners. My mom scheduled 3 mental health days after she set her appointment to put her dog down. She never takes days off. She cried, she grieved, she ordered out for food all 3 days. But she had told herself after 3 days she had to get her crap together and carry on with life, and that's what she did. Of course, she was still sad about it, but she had made herself a promise on how long she'd let it be debilitating and then forced herself to get on with life. She's going through her I don't want another dog stage at the moment. It's nice to only have to vacuum once a week type stuff. But I gave her some playful ribbing that I knew she'd have a dog again within 2 years, probably within 1 year. She laughed, yeah, but it will be a smaller dog this time, so I know she's already been thinking about it and moving on. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you, heart. I love my 2 new cats very much. Even if one gives me gray hair and the other, one hides when I come close, embarrassed smiley face, so different but so cute and adorable. I can't believe how he was going to make his pregnant wife sleep on that when it was his fault. Grief, like any mental health issue, doesn't excuse you from being a ding-dong. We don't have to gatekeep, but it is obvious he is using her in my opinion. Even though her statement about how much he cared about the bits was harsh. His treatment is also harsh, and hopefully that comment was a wake-up call. The least he could do was clean up after himself, or even do simple chores, but he doesn't. Original poster is pregnant and a nurse. She is currently working a high-risk job, working long, and if were her husband I would be doing my best to make her home life as comfortable as possible. But I do agree with what the top comment said, run. Grief, like any mental health issue, doesn't excuse you from being a ding-dong. So true. My family has dealt with a lot of human and beloved pet deaths, plus a baker's dozen mental illnesses. We're all familiar with a variety of ways to grieve and diminished capabilities for various reasons. None of us would think his actions and attitude towards original poster were okay. You don't have to gatekeep grieving, just remember, mental health diagnoses/crises don't mean people have a free pass to be cruel. Grief, depression, whatever they are not an excuse to be cruel, and frankly, I think this dude hit cruelty a while ago. A pregnant nurse working long hours also has to come home and do everything. Original poster, dump him, you'll have half the laundry and dishes already. This. Mental health issues does not equal you get to be in butthole. You do all the effing work in your home and you are pregnant. You are doing all the work carrying a child you both made. If he ain't giving your foot massages and trying to make your life easier as much as possible, then he ain't crap. Yeah, and he was able to function well enough to make himself dinner when he got hungry, but couldn't double up the ingredients or clean up afterwards. What gets me is that he clearly has enough energy to start things but not to clean them up. If you have the energy to make yourself dinner, you can also clean your dishes. If he has the energy to hang out with friends, he can use some of that time to do some chores. Especially if your wife is pregnant and works long hours. This woman is an essential worker who is putting in the hours to help other while pregnant, and also does all the housework. Miss me with that bullcrap, this man is making excuses. Edit. Also, to turn the situation around and make it seem like she's questioning his love for his pet. It seems like he's dodging answering to the actual problem, which is that he's not doing his share in the house. Seriously. My dad died a month ago and I didn't even consider going MIA from my husband and kid. Obviously, my partner babied and supported me in the immediate aftermath, but I'm not taking a vacation from life over it. Also don't want to gatekeep grieving, but I think if he's actually that broken up over it, he needs to take steps to get functional, and I don't believe that that's the case. Honestly, this guy sounds like he's petty because his wife is pregnant and this is not a normal depression. The death of his bird 2 months ago left him so bereft he can do everything but clean? Not the butthole. Do not apologize to him for your comment. You've been managing the household and going through a pregnancy alone for a couple of months because your husband has abandoned you in every way but his physical presence. You are the one owed an apology. He needs to change immediately. Not next week, now. This is absurdly selfish behavior, please stop tolerating it. Exactly. What he's saying is a bird and his own selfishness is more important than the health and well-being of his wife and his unborn baby. What a butt. Big red flags though. Original poster. I would make sure you have a bug-out fund. Just in case. And a plan for doing it alone. If he's like this now, I promise you it isn't going to get better. Agree. Red flags. Life gets hard, pet death, and he stops being an adult completely? He stops fulfilling his relational responsibilities as your husband/partner. Imagine how much harder life will be when you have a baby. Original poster, make a plan B now. Not the butthole, run. More, initiate divorce proceedings before the baby is born because things are going to get a whole lot worse once the kid is born. He's going to shirk parenting, and the fluids are going to get worse and worse. And the sooner you initiate the divorce, the easier it's going to be to make a case that whatever custody arrangements you want are what should happen. And seriously? He spilled milk in bed and didn't clean it up? WTF? That's just disgusting. The longer it sits, the more it will soak, and which will attract insects and ick. And then he expects her to sleep in it? What kind of person thinks another person sleeping in a bed soggy with milk because of something they did is even a little bit acceptable? Have you thought about what kind of father that will make him? Now imagine this scenario while you're also dealing with diapers and baby vomit. Dump him. Run. This he only seems to grieve when it comes to chores. The fact that he'd let his pregnant wife sleep on a soaked mattress means it's time you pack and leave. When he grows up, then you go back. Otherwise, you'll be raising 2 children soon. Not the butthole. Sprint. You're about to have 2 babies. This. Literally this. That last part where he said, "Are you done lecturing me?" is something my father used to do. He was an incredibly emotional, abusive person. They had a horrible marriage. Get out of there now. Original poster. Not the butthole. Your husband is just searching for an excuse to exploit your kindness. You are a pregnant, hard-working woman. He is a lazy leech with no remorse. Exactly, not the butthole. If he's able to go out, he is able to do chores. He is taking it too far and is definitely using it as an excuse. If the split milk was no big deal, he should have slept on it. He is not working as much as you. He needs to start pulling his weight. Even if she wasn't pregnant, what decent partner would spill something all over the bed and then make their so sleep in it? Even without the pregnancy, she has every right to be pissed. I think this is the moment we remind original poster that abuse frequently starts during pregnancy. It sounds like he's taking revenge upon original poster and exploiting her for all she's worth. He's showing her what her life is going to be from now on, now that she can't go anywhere. I think this is the moment we remind original poster that abuse frequently starts during pregnancy. User throwaway 435671 needs to see this. You should remember this from nursing school. Reddit link. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.